Unlock the secrets to living a more fulfilling life while optimizing your health and wellness. Together, we'll dive into the science, strategies, and stories that empower you to thrive in the years to come. Join Zach Jurich on Fully Alive, a groundbreaking podcast brought to you by ShellPoint, the largest single-site life plan community in the United States. The Fully Alive podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. The content shared in this episode is not intended as medical, legal, or financial advice and should not replace the guidance of a qualified professional. The views and opinions expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of ShellPoint or the podcast host. Listeners are encouraged to consult their healthcare provider or other qualified advisors before making decisions related to their health, wellness, or lifestyle.
Well, welcome back to Fully Alive, where we are unlocking the secrets to a healthier, happier, and longer life. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of energy, frequency, and innovation with a guest whose career path is anything but ordinary. Mark Fox began his journey as a Space Shuttle Chief Engineer, an aerospace innovator, but his passion for invention and human potential led him down an entirely new path into the world of health, wellness, and frequency-based healing. He's the creator of The Vibe, which is the world's first pocket-sized PEMF device designed to bring the healing power of pulsed electromagnetic fields into everyday life. From helping veterans overcome PTSD, to reducing pain and anxiety, to improving sleep, energy, and even your pet's health, Mark's technology is opening new doors to drug-free, non-invasive wellness. Mark is also a hot air balloonist, an airplane builder, and author of Da Vinci and the 40 Answers, and a global speaker on innovation and creativity. His mission: to make frequency-based healing accessible and as smartphones are, empowering people everywhere to live healthier, more vibrant lives. This is going to be a powerful conversation that blends cutting-edge science, real-world results, and visionary thinking about the future of medicine. So let's jump in. Here's my conversation with Mark Fox. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being here today. After learning about you and the amazing background and journey that you've had and experiences that you've had, I've been really excited and looking forward to this opportunity to meet with you today and to have this conversation for our listeners to hear from you and learn from you. So thanks for taking time to be with us today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It'll be fun. Appreciate it.
So you started your career as an aerospace engineer, and I'm just curious, what was that world like? How did it shape your approach? And can you share a little bit about your backstory? Kind of, I'm always curious, like, where do people's passions come from? How do they end up where they are doing the things that they're doing? And you made this kind of significant shift as well, but would love to just hear about what was that world like and how did that lead you to where you are now?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I live Cocoa Beach, Florida, and my dad was into rockets and stuff. I didn't want anything to do with rockets or aerospace, none of that. I was a chemical engineer out of college. My best friend was a nuclear physicist, and we were both hanging drywall, okay, making $3.50 an hour. I go, we're not using our degree. And somebody goes, hey, the Morton Viacall company at Kennedy Space Center is hiring people. Put your resume in. So I go, okay, put my resume in. They go, when can you come for an interview? I'm like, when do you need me? They go, now. So I go in there. The guy hands me like a trifold brochure, and he says, we make rocket motors, specialty chemicals, and salt, pays $12.14 an hour. I go, okay. I go, what am I going to be doing? He looks at my resume in a middle folder. He goes, I don't know, engineering stuff. I go, when do I start? He goes, now. So it's like, I learned out later on that they had a cost plus contract, and they were told they'll hire 80 engineers with a degree. I don't care if whatever, we'll fire them later. So I never wanted to be in aerospace, but that happened because of hanging drywall. So then I said, I'll keep this for 6 months. And then I ended up there for 17 years. So that's how I got into aerospace. I've done a lot of things since then. I worked for iOmega with zip drives. I started I owned part of a women's clothing company. Still, I know enough about DNA to be dangerous. So I created music and art from saliva. So you can get your DNA from your saliva, and we make art and music out of it. So my wife goes, how many companies have you started in the last 10 years? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, well, go count them. And it's like 12. And I was like, but they never worked because I never had enough margin to pay Zuckerberg these insane fees to market stuff, right? So how I got involved in energy therapy, I didn't have any desire, don't know anything about it. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I'm a rocket scientist. My dog couldn't come up the stairs one day, and we took her to the vet, and she had arthritis in her spine. And so a friend of mine who's a veterinarian goes, hey, there's this magic machine that puts frequencies and energy out and it can reverse arthritis. So I'm like really skeptical, like that's a bunch of BS, that can't work, but it's my dog, right? So I'm like, I'll go look into it. And that's how it started. So I've been studying it for 27 years, just kind of fascinated with it. Like, is this really voodoo? Come to find out, NASA's used it since 1970s, 35,000 published papers on this technology. Any of your listeners can go to PubMed or NIH, type in PEMF. They're going to learn that there's tons and tons of studies. So one doctor told me the other day, Mark, PEMF is not on trial here. It's been proven. And if people don't believe that, they just haven't done their homework. So that's how I kind of got into it. I saw what it could do for PTSD, that there was a huge success rate, but the machines were expensive and they're limited, right? There are not that many of them, and you had to go to a clinical environment to see a doctor to get treated. So I was like, there's got to be a way to make a affordable, portable device that does the same thing. So I naively said, well, I'll just take a printed circuit board, a little coil, and they caught on fire. There was a 8-foot pile of coils over here in the corner of the room, trying to make coils at work, and all the trade-off with heat and batteries. And so it took a long time to finally get it to work where we needed it. We have it now, and it's selling well. Again, Zuckerberg has all my money. It costs way more to sell one than it does to make it, which is frustrating. But so yeah, that's where we're at. We have like 60 different protocols on there, and 5 of them are brainwave protocols that can be repurposed for 70 other things. So there's a total of 130 different conditions that it can provide, in the FDA's words, relief from that condition, because we can't treat, diagnose, or cure anything, but we can provide relief. For instance, type 2 diabetics, treating, diagnosing, curing diabetes. But if we're reducing your insulin shots from 80 units a day to 10, you're not sticking yourself with the needle as much, and you're saving money. So it improves your life. Back pain, if it went from an 8 to a 2, we didn't get rid of your back pain completely, but it helped it. So all of those different conditions, you can help improve them. And we have a really high success rate. It's not 100%, nothing is, but it's north of 90. So that's pretty cool.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. And so can we just, for those listeners who are new to this, can you break down, you mentioned PEMF, and a lot of people are aware now of PEMF mats, pulsed electromagnetic frequency. I'm familiar with PEMF mats and things like that. And I've seen pictures of before and after, like how it works in your blood cells, and your red blood cells kind of expands them and opens them up and breaks them apart so they can absorb oxygen better and things like that. But could you kind of explain that a little bit, and why it's getting so much attention?
Yeah. So PEMF, it's a fancy word, pulse electromagnetic fields. It's actually the Earth's heartbeat. So you can pull up an app on your phone and you can see it. The Earth's putting it out at 7.83 hertz, right? At about half a Gauss. Magnetic therapy has been around since Hippocrates. He's the first guy that I know of to document it in 3500 BC. Magnetic therapy has been around forever. It used to be lodestones. They were rocks on the ground that got hit by lightning, and that's what magnetized. Discovered about Tesla's time, turn of the century, early 1900s, that pulsed electromagnetic fields are much more therapeutic than a static magnet. So that's kind of where it came from. Unfortunately, Rockefeller and Carnegie screwed it up for everyone in the United States, because Rockefeller owned all the oil, Standard Oil, and he figured out, I can make drugs out of oil. And they owned the medical landscape at the time. So they basically said, if you're not doing surgery or pharmaceuticals, we're pulling your funding, we're pulling your licenses, and we're not giving funding to universities anymore. So in the United States, this electrical stimulation or therapy got dropped, and now it's being, in the last few decades, it's getting re-energized. Energy therapy, I like to think about it at the highest level, is it can be delivered with electrical current, like a TENS unit that a lot of people are familiar with.
Sure.
PEMF, a magnetic field, light, vibration, or sound. Nothing in the world happens without an energy exchange. So you don't breathe oxygen, you don't drive your car, you don't fall down and hurt yourself, you don't get sunburned, right? Nothing happens without an energy exchange. So what PEMF is doing, or electrical current or sound, whatever, it's putting energy into the body. Now, how does it actually work? And you get to the mechanism action arguments with doctors. And I always push back and say, well, you don't know how aspirin works either. You got a theory, but you haven't proven it. What we do know, and has been proven multiple times, is 2 things. The cells in your body have a voltage on, like a car battery. And when that voltage gets low, you get sick. If you don't have a high enough voltage on your cells, you can't get nutrients into the cell and you can't get waste products out. So it has been shown to increase the voltage at the cell membrane, number 1. Number 2, ATP, adenosine triphosphate. It's the number 1 chemical that your cells use for food. And it's been shown many times to increase ATP up to 500%. So those two things at the highest level is it's increasing the voltage on the cells, it's recharging your cells' batteries, and it's creating more food for the cells so that your body can do what it does best, which is heal itself. Those are the two things that we know are happening. Now there's 1,000 other things that we have theories about, but those at the highest level, that's what it's actually doing.
Okay. Well, yeah, thanks for breaking that down. And so how does the technology that you've created in the Vibe differ from like laying on a PEMF mat for 10 minutes?
Affordability and size is the short answer. Okay. So it's not $7,000. It's like $300. It fits in your pocket or you wear it with a lanyard, and you don't have to go to a clinic to lay on the mat. You can be doing, so affordability and portability, right? Is I could take, everyone goes, what's the difference between this and the mat? Well, it's 152 times smaller. It's one piece instead of 7 pieces. It's affordable, and you can carry it in your pocket and take it on an airplane. You can't do any of that with a mat. The mats are great. Most mats, like a beamer mat, they're doing a sweep, a simple sweep. We have very complex protocols. They're usually frequency pairs. Think of a chord on a guitar, and the protocol is a song. So the frequency pairs will change every 1 to 4 minutes. So like PTSD is the most complex one that we have, and they're all copyrighted, but they're like 76 different frequency pairs because PTSD is in every part of your body. It's super complex. So that's what it is. They're songs or symphonies. That's what's different. Most people don't, none of them have them because they're all intellectually property protected, but that's it. And it comes from 8,000 practitioners over 35 years. Picture a band in a garage, right? They're jamming, they throw in some cowbells, they put in another, you find out what works and doesn't work in the song. That's exactly what this technology is trial and error, or people trying things, what works for this condition, add this to it, this frequency, it didn't help or it made it worse. Take that frequency out, you put another one in that works better. So it's a lot of trial and errors where it comes from, or what the specific frequency protocols are. Because we get asked all the time, what's the frequency of it? Well, it's between 1 and 1,000 hertz, but it's not just frequency. It's a song. It's a symphony. This device is actually an MP3 player. After I burned them all up and caught them on fire, it dawned on me, because the protocols, I'm not a musician. I wish I was. I wish I could play something, but I can't. But I built them all on a music synthesizer. So the protocols are actually MP3 files. It's actually an MP3 player, but you don't hear it because it has no speaker. It has coils instead of a speaker. So it's driving the MP3 files through the coil to make the magnetic field. But in its simplest sense, it's a music player that your ears don't hear, but your body hears.
Okay. Yeah, that's a helpful description. So basically you wear this device, and for those that are just listening, like you said, it's about the size of an MP3 player. You just put it in your pocket or wear it around a lanyard, right? And then it sends that signal throughout your body. So you can change those frequencies. So depending on what you're trying to treat or have relief from, you just pick that song, essentially, with quotes there, that song, and it will send those healing frequencies, into your body that will.
Yeah, you put it in your pocket, you wear it with a lanyard around your neck. Women, I stopped telling them to not put it in the bra because they all do it. Anyway, I don't know what women do in the bathroom because we get them dropped in the toilet all the time. We've got to put water resistant stuff on them. I don't know what happens in there, but every day we have somebody like, what happens if I get it wet? Quit dropping it in the toilet. But anyway, and the magnetic field itself, it's just physics. Magnetic fields do not travel very far, but you get full body coverage. Like a mat, this is a misconception. I got to lay on a mat to get full body coverage. You don't. Because it's three things. It's resonating with the water in your body. We know. We believe this because it works if you're not hydrated, but not as well. So there's no, from a physics point of view, you can't explain how you put it in your top pocket and it helps a broken foot because the magnetic field can't reach that far. So it's resonating with the water in your body. If you remember from school science, alternating magnetic field makes alternating electrical current and vice versa. It's Faraday's law. So it's putting out a very, very low electrical current, which you can't really feel, but your body is conductive. Your skin, it's 200,000 ohms resistance, but it's still conductive. And so it's traveling that way as well as through electrical current that you can't really feel. And then magnetite, this is a new discovery relatively. Magnetite is this magic element that's in turtles and birds that we believe they use for migration, figure out where the North Pole's at. And it's been relatively recently discovered that humans have magnetite as well in our cells. So if we have magnetite, that would allow the magnetic field to transfer through the whole body, even though the magnetic field itself isn't traveling that far. So it's those three things that give you full body coverage with just a small device in your pocket. It's pretty amazing. It's actually magical, but it works.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems magical. So how long is a protocol then? Like how long do I use the device for at a time?
They're all different. The average is about 40 minutes. The shortest is 30 minutes. PTSD is going to be the longest at 2.5 hours. And we tell people use it 3 to 4 times a week for 30 days. If you don't see results by then, you got the wrong protocol, you misdiagnose yourself, or it's just not going to work for you for whatever reason. You know, we're not controlling people in their homes and stuff. And what happens is most people that come to this technology are long-term chronic pain, physically or mentally, and nothing else has worked for them. So Zach, when they get a hold of this and it does work for them and nothing else has for 20 years, I can't stop them from running it 5 times a day. It's not going to hurt them. It might make them tired if they use it 10 times a day for some people. But yeah, we have people that have bought multiple ones that strap them to them because they don't want to go test. They could care less about how much can I cut back and not have to feel the pain anymore. They just don't want to feel the pain anymore. Because it's so easy to use and you just turn it on and put it in your pocket, you actually forget it's there. Usually when I'm running a protocol, I go to grab my cell phone and I realize it's not my cell phone. I go, oh yeah, I was running a protocol. I didn't even know it was in my pocket because I forgot. So yeah, to answer your question, 40 minutes is the average, 30 to 2.5 hours.
Okay.
It's a lot.
So 3 to 4 times a week is all it really is required.
3 to 4 times a week for a month that's the good news. You're going to know in 30 days if it's working or not. That's it. This is not a 12-month experiment. You're going to know.
So depending on your ailment or what you're struggling with, try it out 3 or 4 times a week, 30 days, and you're going to have some most likely have some significant relief if that's the right
yes.
thing. Okay.
And one thing that's important there is, this is a weird phenomenon, and I've spent a lot of time on it, is people will forget how bad they felt 30 days earlier. So just do your own self-reporting, your own keep your own diary or stuff. If you can, like watches, Fitbits, those things that you can measure biomarkers, heart rate variability, sleep. Sleep is probably the best indicator of all, is how much good sleep are you getting? Then you must be in less pain and less stressed and anxiety and all that stuff. So those are all as good biomarkers. One of the best litmus tests in the world is ask your spouse and your family and your friends if you're different. I mean, we have so many case studies where the reason we invited you to the barbecue and didn't last year because your attitude's changed and you're not a jerk to be around anymore, right? Or your kid. We have tons of people that were getting divorced and now they're not. Or kids are like, I'm hanging out with my dad. I never liked my dad till now. I mean, so there's a ton of litmus tests, things like that. We get this all the time is school teachers will call the parents and go, hey, what medication did you change Johnny to? Because he's paying attention now. And we didn't change his meds. We ran ADHD on this little thing, right? So you get a lot of that, which is like really interesting stuff. I mean, and we get tons of feedback from people. Some of it's surprised. I mean, it's doing some things that we never designed them, right? So I did not even know an Apple Watch could measure AFib, but we've had 3 people in the last 2 weeks with the Vega Vibe tell me their AFib has gone from 95% to 2. So we're running a study right now with cardiologists. Let's go test this, get it documented so we can make a structured functional claim, which is the right term for the FDA. Can't make a claim. I say structured functional claim that said it did this, right? So there's some really cool, exciting stuff. Feedback we're getting from customers. They figured it out on their own, right? I had 3 doctors go, this thing's kicking butt for MS. I go, multiple sclerosis? They go, yes. I go, I don't have an MS protocol. I go, but it's nerve related. So are you running fibromyalgia? And all 3 of them went, yep. Or like a lady called me and she goes, the doctors don't know what this is. Every 2 weeks, I've scratched till I'm bleeding on my arms. It itches that bad. What is it? She goes, the doctors don't know. Sounds like an allergic reaction. So tried general inflammation, which is 80% of all ailments, and run allergy. And it went away. We don't even know what it is, right? So we probably get 400 or 500 emails a day of questions like that. What do you do for this? And like, here's an educated guess. Or sometimes it's very obvious. What do I do for sleep? Run the sleep protocol. So some of them are obvious. Most of them are obvious. Some are not. And you just kind of make a bridge from, is it toxicity? Then run liver protocol, right? Is it inflammation? Yeah, most diseases I said are the inflammation of the whatever, right? Of your ear, esophagus, or your knee. And then of course, back pain, neck pain, all those type things are one. The most common thing, this is an interesting point. The book I just finished writing is called Go Find Joy. Anxiety, it's about anxiety and how this technology can dissolve it. But anxiety is the #1 ailment in all people and pets across the globe. In every country, that is the #1 ailment, anxiety.
Wow.
Nobody in the world has not had anxiety at some point. You got it anticipating something coming up. You got a wedding. You got a presentation I got to give to bosses, that type of thing, right? So everyone's got anxiety. That's why I kind of concentrate on it with a new book to try and explain to people. You don't have to live with it. We've got clinical data that says this works.
So you're covering some of the things that people are using this for. I know there's 130, so we can't get to all of those, but what, besides the ones you mentioned, obviously anxiety is number one, most common, but what are the things that you find your customers are buying this for, and what kind of stories can you tell us about that?
Yeah, PTSD is as I mentioned earlier, trauma is the number one thing I went after because I saw the 44 suicides a day, 22 military veterans, 15 first responders, 5 medical workers, 2 active duty, and that's not counting any civilian. And so we have the largest PTSD PEMF study in the world, and we have a 98% success rate.
Wow.
Nobody believes that number, but all the data is there. It's statistically significant. It's huge. It's monstrous. So that is the main reason I built the thing. Okay. PTSD, anxiety, sleep, as we already mentioned, back pain and neck pain. Everyone that's over 15's got that. Some, right? At some extent. Sleep, right? And type 2 diabetes, lowering blood sugar. Those are probably the most common ones. There's other ones too, but it's always interesting because here's how we get wholesalers, Zach. I'm trying to grow the wholesale business. We sell them in 10 packs and 100 packs. This scenario plays out every week. Somebody walks into the doctor's office. Doctor goes, "Oh my God, your A1C is 5.2. It's never been below 8. You finally changed your diet, started exercising, doing something." And they go, "No, I started using this." And the doctor snatches it out of the hand and goes, "What the hell is this?" And then they call me and I have this conversation and they go, "That can't work." I go, "Well, buy one and try it." And then that's how we used to get like 2 wholesalers, 1 or 2 every 3 months. I get 3 or 4 a day now, which is fastest part of our business. It's from our customers going and talking to their doctor because the doctors aren't trained on this, right?
Sure, yeah.
Their continuing education is in a resort somewhere by a drug company that's telling them what the new drug is, not alternative therapies. And they're all scared of American Medical Association. I'm going to do exactly what they say. I mean, it's sad. My pet peeve personally is cholesterol and blood pressure, that I can out talk anyone on that, on research. I went to my doctor and said, "Please read this research." I summarized it for you. She turned her head, Zach. "I'm not going to look at that. I don't want to read it. I'm only going to do what the American Medical Association recommends." Unfortunately, that's kind of the mindset of too many physicians. We got a lot more of them that are changing their tune, that are starting to look at this stuff because, just like the patients, whatever they were trying didn't help them. You all know from the 6 o'clock news, the drug companies own the commercials, right? And you don't even know what the drug is for at the end of the commercial because of all the side effects. Anal bleeding, death, heart attacks, whatever. And he's like, what was this even for? You can't even remember at the beginning. So they own the airwaves. The drug companies own the airwaves. They own the news. And so the average person, but there's more and more people learning about it every day, Zach. Again, if you're a man on the street with a microphone, about 1 out of 15 or 1 out of 20 will know what it is. They'll know what a beamer mat is. In the horse world, 100% of the people know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
All know what MagnaWave is. They've all seen it. The horse has been treated with it by the veterinarian or another horse in their stable area. They've seen it. They know what it is.
Yeah, my mom's in the horse world, and she's, well aware of all of these types of therapies for her horses over the years. So it's interesting when I bring stuff up to her, she's, "Oh yeah, we used that on my horse like 10 years ago."
Right.
You can try things there that you can't try in other places as easily. So I'm curious about your own personal use. Like, tell me about some of the things, like what are you using this for personally on a day in and day out basis?
My number one thing I use it for is sleep. And my entire life, I've had bad dreams of people trying to kill me. I'm running, guns, knives. When I run this, you're ready to laugh, I get Halle Berry instead of guns and knives.
That's much better sleep.
It's a much better dream. It's a pleasant dream. Some of my friends freak out when I show them the amount of sleep that I get now. On average, 9 hours. Like sometimes I get 11, but I get around 9. And I have friends that get 2 hours a night. And I'm like, I've given more away to my friends. Like, and here's the number one reason it won't work, Zach, is you didn't use the damn thing. Okay. I want to kill one of my friends. He calls me from the airport a few months ago. He goes, "Are you serious with this thing for asthma?" He goes, "I haven't breathed this well since I was 15 years old." And he's 58, 59. And I go, "What?" He goes, "You're a man." I go, "You idiot. Are you just now using it for the first time? I gave it to you 4 months ago." He goes, "Yeah, I used it last night for the first time ago." Right. So that it won't work if you don't use it. Again, we said 3 or 4 times a week for 30 days, but a lot of times people will see a reaction immediately. The only warning is if you're in severe pain, the first time you use it, don't be driving a car or operating machinery or a catapult. It can make you feel drunk or stoned. Now, this has actually been measured of what's happening. Your body, when that 20-year pain is gone, instantly that your endorphins, your system goes, yoo-hoo, we're having a party. So it pumps endorphins all through your blood and you get this runner's high and you're stoned. I had a woman over here, young woman in a car wreck, and she started backpedaling and sat in my chair. She goes, I'm seeing double vision. I'm like, wow, okay, let's turn the power down a little bit. So that was not common. That is something that could happen the first time you use it. So the good news is you don't have to be driving a car. You can just sit there, watch TV, whatever. Most people don't have that reaction. But again, a lot of people like asthma, you'll see people just immediately start. Quote from one customer was, it's like I use my inhaler instantly. I mean, it's changed it right there. And it's like, sometimes it's going to take longer, right? If it's arthritis, that's one that's you're probably not going to see instantly, but you will notice the difference in 30.
So for the sleep, for you personally, you just run this for 30 minutes before you go to bed?
The sleep protocol is 46 minutes long. I used to put it under my pillow, blah, blah, but you want it as close to the body as you can get. And if you have tile floors like I do and you knock it on the ground, I found it's way better. The sleep protocol is 46 minutes long. So an hour before bed, just run that. And if you have time, run the brainwave delta. So delta is going to be the lowest frequency, which is what your brain's experiencing when you're in deep sleep and REM. You're going to be 1 to 4 hertz range. So that's what I do. I run sleep. And if I have time for 15 minutes, I'll run delta before I go to bed.
And then you get your 9 to 11 hours of deep and REM sleep and feeling good. So you mentioned a few things too. I just want to clarify too, or bring up is obviously like there's no side effects, right? There's no adverse side effects other than you might feel so good that your body pumps endorphins. And, but I mean, as far as adverse side effects long-term, really there's no risk involved, right?
There's not. A couple of things we'll mention there. Thank you for bringing it up. The entire industry is going to say, and I have to say it too, don't use it if you have a pacemaker or insulin pump. If you have some kind of electronics inside of you, don't use it. Hip replacements, knee replacements, metal parts, stents, all that's fine. It's only if it has a printed circuit board and a battery. It could possibly, it never has, but it could possibly affect that. And if you're pregnant, we just tell everyone not to use it because there are no known problems, but the first deformed baby is going to get, blame it on that technology. If you use it way too much, it can make you feel a little bit tired. The only side effect that we've gotten is if it makes you feel sick, probably means you have an infection somewhere, an impacted tooth or an infection you don't know. So go get a blood test or whatever, because the theory is it's reducing the inflammation so that poison or whatever can get out a little bit. The other one, we hope we have the formula figured out. Lyme disease. People say, what do you have for Lyme disease? I go, nothing. I don't have one. Well, after 200 people ask you that, Zach, and you get on Facebook calls and you see these people, their face to have had Lyme for 10 years. So they'd rather be dead. It's that awful. And they don't have a solution for it. So I did a bunch of research, found out delta 1 to 4 hertz will kill the Lyme bacteria. But the doctor told me, be cautious because termites are a reaction. Lyme is very clever. It disguises itself as other things. So you get misdiagnosed all the time. And when you kill it, it spits poison. So our first study we did, it worked. Everyone got sick. All of them, 100%. And they quit using it because it made them sick. I said, okay, time out. Let's regroup. Let's rehuddle here. Run it on power level 5 instead of 10. Then run the liver toxicity to get the toxins out of you. And then run vagus nerve to reset your body. Then amp up 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. Get it back to 10. That's what everyone's doing right now. And it's working for the vast majority of people. So there's things like that, special cases like Lyme disease that, wow, if you just jump in there and it may make you sick because the bacteria is fighting back. But for the most part, there's not side effects to it. Correct.
So yeah, what if you do have a bacterial infection or a cold or something like that? Can this treat those kinds of things too?
Bacterial infections and stuff. If it's making you feel sick or it's making you feel bad, period, stop using it. Try and figure it out, right? Go to your doctor or whatever. Just stop using it. Don't continue to hurt yourself. I have another story that we won't dive into on that one where a lady had a magnet inside of her, static magnet in her vagina, and was running this. And she kept going, it's shaking the hell out of my body. I'm like, what? And she sent me like 20 emails. And all of a sudden I went down and I was like, I won't even say the word because then it'll come up on your Google searches. But it's like, you have a static magnet in your vagina? Why? She goes, for blood flow. My doctor prescribed it. I go, stop. That's going to shake the hell out of your body. And she pulled it out, then ran. She goes, oh, this is way better. I'm like, yeah, okay. So you get weird things like that sometimes. But yeah, it just really not many side effects at all. We have almost none reported. Once in a while, anxiety. If somebody has severe anxiety and they run anxiety, it makes them feel worse. Maybe because it's something new, right? So we tell them, we'll switch over to relax and balance or vagus nerve, and then it usually solves. Yeah, that's the most of the side effects, that's what the industry is going to say, right? Pacemakers, that kind, don't use it, or pregnancy, but rest of it.
And so I'm assuming, I mean, obviously this can work if you're 1 year old or 99 years old, right? I mean, there's no, you can use it for kids, for ADHD, for anxiety, for anything that asthma, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
right?
there's no age limit.
Yeah.
It works for anybody.
Okay. What about like cognitive issues in older adults? Is if they're having some cognitive decline or mental cognitive impairments, things like that. Do you see any, I know you can't make claims, but like anecdotally, or do you have protocols for those kinds of things?
We do. So we have one for Alzheimer's, and we have one for brain balancing, right? And brain fog. Those are all standard ones that we have. What popped in my mind when you asked that was, it's kind of funny. This guy calls me up, and he's an older man. I'm 64. He's significantly older than me. He goes, "Hey, Mark, I used your little gizmo on my wife. She hasn't been able to complete a sentence for 2 years. Now she's hanging out with her friends and talking again." I go, "That's your energy level that your wife can now speak again?" And he's like, it was just funny. I was like, "Did you not want her to talk?" It was kind of weird. And this doesn't raise the hair on your arms. You're not human. Okay. Cause this is my favorite story. A 17-year-old girl told me, "Mark, I'll never have a date in my life because I have Tourette's. All the boys at school hate me. They think I'm a monster. It's awful. I get bullied all the time. I ran the brain balancing protocol. My Tourette's disappeared, and I have a date Saturday. She ended up marrying a couple years later."
Oh, wow. Hmm.
I never told her to run brain balancing. She never asked. She just went, "I'm going to try that." So like the allergy thing, right? There's stuff that it does, or AFib and things that we still haven't. There's all kinds of new discoveries of stuff it's going to do, and we don't even know it. It's putting energy in your body so your body can fix itself, like we covered earlier. So I said it is magical. When I wrote an article for all the Facebook haters because I have so many of them, it's ridiculous. I get death threats all the time. It's unbelievable. So I wrote an article called "Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire." So here's the top scams of all time: DNA sequencing, CRISPR, antibiotics, MRIs, right? Just think of all the technology that's absolutely positively impossible until it's not. An MRI, in Mark's opinion, is the most magical thing a human being has invented. It has 5 levels of magic in it that are completely impossible, but yet we do 1 million of them a year, and nobody's doubting the picture of your heart. It's the end result comes out as a picture, but there's 5 levels of magic that can't happen, but it does, right? So nobody would know what that was on the Mayflower, right?
Yeah, your cell phone.
Yep. All this stuff that's impossible until it's not. And that's where we're at. PEMF's been a while. It's starting to get more mainstream. I think it'd be a huge difference in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. So I'd love to just shift gears for a few minutes and talk about, you have a unique perspective. What's on the horizon for both your company? Because you mentioned some of these things when we kind of we're getting to know each other here. Even just within your company, I'd love to hear about some of those breakthroughs that are coming through. And even by the time this episode airs, there'll be some new things that your company is offering. So can you tell us about some of those? And then also maybe kind of part B of that question is, when you look out 5 to 10 years from now, what are you most excited about on the horizon in the future?
Yeah, so Vibe is, the Vibe is our flagship product, and it's again for people and pets, so horse and dog. But the Vega Vibe is, I made this as simple as you could. It's alphabetical. You scroll, you hit play, put your pocket. The Vega Vibe's even simpler. It has an on button. Can't do anything else. You just turn it on. You wear it like it's a necklace. I mentioned before the show, we have a watch coming out next month so we can measure heart rate variability, blood pressure, blood sugar, sleep, stress, a whole bunch of things. So you can get confirmation what it's doing. We have an anti-wrinkle system that we just filed a patent for this week. You can infuse the frequencies, anti-aging, anti-wrinkle into the product. And we have a quadruple peptide anti-wrinkle cream that will be energized with Vibe. So that patent just got filed. Get trouble for this, but then we have this that will come out after we're done testing it, but this will be for Alzheimer's. It's PEMF and light at the same time. It'll go on the inside of your wrist or the back of your neck. Those are ands when you need to be hydrated. We covered that earlier. The key thing on electrolytes is to have magnesium for sure. It really helps. So we have what's called PEMF booster. It's an electrolyte, like a liquid IV owns 80% of the market. So we're going to try and challenge those guys for the PEMF world. That's coming out next month too with a powder. My dream is to put myself out of business. And I put a reward out of $25,000 and nobody figured it out. Your phone has a Qi coil in it, right? That you put up on a magnetic thing and it puts energy into your phone to charge the battery. As I said earlier, they're MP3 file. If somebody could hack the OS on the phone, run the energy out of the coil instead of putting energy in to charge the battery, I could turn every phone into a therapy device with an app. That is my dream. Nobody's figured it out. I'm not an electrical engineer. I haven't figured it out. If anyone's listening, wants $25,000, go figure that out. I ran an ad on Facebook and everyone says it's impossible. So that's one. It's not possible. It's just we haven't figured it out yet. It's like all the magic we just talked about. The second one is smart bulbs that most people have in their homes, or a lot of people. Imagine this. Hey, Alexa, run Alzheimer's in the living room, and you're running it through the lights. Zach, I would already have that technology if somebody at Philips would call me back, which nobody will, because when you turn a light switch on, it doesn't come on. It delays about 100 milliseconds because they don't want to shock your eyes and your system. You can't consciously see it, but when you turn on a light, it ramps up slowly-ish, right? A tenth of a second or something. And I need to be able to turn it off 1,000 times in a second to get up to 1,000 hertz. I've tried to get around the bridge. We tried to program stuff and we can't get past the router box, right? It doesn't allow us to do that. And of course, all my friends go, well, go make your own light bulb. Well, that I can, but that defeats the purpose of using all the lights that already exist. So those would be two really cool things. Turn all cell phones into a therapy device and take smart bulbs and turn those into therapy devices without doing anything except, we could put it in the cloud that Alexa knows what the protocols are, right? So I can just upload all the protocols into a cloud, tell Alexa, go run depression, go run Alzheimer's. Is something I'm still dreaming about doing.
But that's amazing and fascinating to think about a future in which whatever you're feeling in that day or whatever ailment you might have, you just tell Alexa or Siri, hey, run this protocol, and then it's there. It's in our environment already.
Well, here's the next logical step, right? You don't tell Alexa anything. That's going to tell it.
Your watch, yeah.
Your
or wearable, whatever it is.
Your vagus nerves out of tone, or you're not getting enough sleep, or your stress levels, blah, blah, so I'm going to run relax. This also measures stress, right? It could just go into the cloud and go, this stage light they have right here, run anxiety, because you have a presentation coming up and your watch says you're stressed and you didn't actively do anything.
So our wearables are monitoring our HRV and other things that are happening within our bodies, and they're communicating to whatever the light on my screen here, or the lights above me, or my phone that's in my pocket. And yeah, that's amazing that's all going to be connected.
You just reminded me though of one other future thing I want to do that everyone tells me is impossible. What do most people do in half the time of their life? They're staring at the phone.
Right.
Flicker the light on the phone at the frequency. So as you're scrolling through Facebook or you're going through your phone, it's in your face. You're getting the therapy through the phone from the light, but nobody can hack the screen either, is what they're telling me. But I know it's possible.
Right.
There has to be a way, because your eyes can't see anything more than 60 hertz, 50 to 60. So like the lights in your house, the lights that we have on right now, they're 60 hertz. If you're really, 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 really tired, or you're a little autistic, you could see it flicker. Most people can't see over like 40 hertz, right? So I could flicker this at 800 hertz and you're not going to notice it, but your body is, right? And when people think about voodoo, they all go look this up, right? Where this came from. R&D stands for research and development, but also stands for rob and duplicate. I'm stealing this from MIT. MIT discovered 40 hertz reverses Alzheimer's by accident, complete accident. They were doing a completely different study with rats in a box with a rope light, right? And it was flickering at 40 hertz, and then doing biopsies in their brain and stuff. They're seeing the plaques gone, and they noticed the mice were acting more cognitive. So that's been out for about 10 years or so. There are some products already out there like Beacon 40 and some other ones that are doing that. But this is kind of cool how I'm using so much AI, Zach. I didn't even use any of it a year ago, and I use it so much for marketing. So I told it, I said, hey, MIT, I know they didn't use a frequency or temperature. They just use a rope light, right? Yes. So I'm going to build this. Do I use red lights? And they go, use blue. And it goes, would you like me to tell you the part number so you don't have to go design your own light? Yeah, I would. That's what those blue lights are right there.
Okay.
They told me, here's the part number and where you go buy. Why is blue better than white? And they gave me this whole documentary thing, why. And I'm like, okay, perfect. So yeah, AI is crazy what we're doing with it.
Speeding all of this up. So, well, that's amazing. And so I know you can't make these claims, but what you're saying is that there's a way to potentially reverse things that have already happened within our bodies, like Alzheimer's, like the plaque buildup.
Yes. That one particularly, because you can ride on the coattails of MIT. Most people are going to believe what they say. Go type in MIT Alzheimer's 40 hertz, and you'll find all kinds of documentation. And they're doing human trials right now. They have been for a few.
Okay, fascinating. So, and then can you tell us a little bit more about the Carrier watch? Because I think that's pretty amazing too. Because a lot of people have wearables. Like I have my Garmin wearable that tracks my HRV and my sleep and things like that, but it doesn't track some of the things that you just mentioned with the watch that's coming out here.
So it's going to have sleep and stress. HRV heart rate variability and the correct one, SDNN, instead of RMSSD, okay? If I said that right. Heart rate variability is the best biomarker to measure in general. If you had to measure one thing, it's going to be heart rate variability. And most people that aren't familiar with it, your heart rate, you want to come down. Your heart rate variability, you want to go up. And the heart rate variability is the distance between the heartbeats and how much it varies. That is your best indicator of a balanced nervous system, fight or flight. Things like Fitbit stuff, they have heart rate variability usually embedded in stress, or they only measure it at night while you're sleeping. We extracted heart rate variability out as its own independent measurement, so you can measure it by just tapping it. The other ones that's really, really cool is blood sugar without pricking your finger, or a continuous glucose monitor, and blood pressure without putting a cuff on you. So those ones, stress, calories, burns, steps, all the things that a fitness tracker have. But the primary ones are going to be heart rate variability, blood sugar, blood pressure, stress, and sleep. Now, what's really cool is if the customer chooses to, it's going to upload it to the cloud. And we're going to be able to use, we're just talking about AI, we're going to use Amazon's AWS HIPAA compliant AI to do before and after analysis and long term. Because like your Fitbit's only holding the data for a week. We'll be able to track it and do analysis says, hey, and this is really cool with AI. Okay, I can read another good example. I need to make a report, blah, blah, for 15,000 people, 15 to 20,000 people. What do? You use this, it costs $45,000 a month. It's pretty pricey. And then it said, do you need to be dynamic, or you just need a PDF for each person? I said, I just need a PDF for each person. I said, that's $450 a month, not $45,000. Use this solution. Plan B better.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's where you get ready to, we're testing all that right now.
Okay. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing that you can test someone's blood glucose ongoing. So I can see, rather than having to wear the continuous glucose monitor, I can see what foods spike me, what drops me. It's testing my HRV throughout the day, so I can see what activities are helping me, what are more stressful to my body, my blood pressure, heart rate, all of those things are built in. I mean, I'm just thinking of all the applications of just the watch, but then you can also see when I use the Vibe, the long-term result, the short-term and long-term results right there. It's just in real time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in real time. And again, I made a huge mistake when I assumed people with PTSD would have high cortisol because of stress. They actually don't. Most people with PTSD, and dogs as well, have a very low cortisol already. And that may be part of why they're susceptible to PTSD. We're not sure. But I ran this huge study on cortisol and realized you're an idiot because you're measuring the wrong thing. Then the Veterans Administration goes, no, you use heart rate variability. That is the number one indicator to whether PTSD is improved or not. So, and heart rate variability, as we already mentioned, is tied to so many different things. So yeah, that's going to be fun. We're going to learn stuff. Like I'm excited about, like I said, is AFib. One of my best friends since grade school, right? He has AFib. Obviously I gave him one of these Vega things. Start wearing this every single day, right? And let's start measuring that. So that'll be just cool things you can go measure. And my wife's like, what if it backfires and it shows it didn't work and they return the stuff? I don't want to have if it doesn't work.
Okay. Well, this is amazing. When is the Alzheimer's or brain device coming out?
If I got to find a lab first, I'll throw this invitation out there. Any Alzheimer's research center that wants to do this, I'll supply all of it and the blood tests and do everything. I got to do the study. So right now, I don't want to offend doctors, but I'm going to. Doctors are awful on doing these studies. They never finish them. I have sleep studies that are 30 days long and they're 3 years old. I don't have the data still, right? Same with blood sugar. So a lot of these studies I got to go do myself because they're doctors. They don't follow up. They don't finish these. I got to find a place, the FDA and the whole world. All the Facebook haters will murder me if I say anything about Alzheimer's without data that has a P factor below 0.05, a statistically significant, all that. So I can't answer you, Zach, because that's on my list. Just to do stuff over here, that's like number 2. Go find a lab to help run the data. And it needs to be third party independent. So Mark's not in there with his finger in it, messing it up, right? I need somebody else to go do it so somebody can stand behind it that's credible. When I get that data, then we'll have it. And we don't need a ton. Here's a misconception is most people go, well, how many people isn't this? I go, how many people you think are in the average NIH study? And people go, nah, 2,000? No, it's 17.
Right.
Most studies are very small. It's the before and after effect. If arbitrarily pick a number, if the before is 89, it goes 88, 89, 88, 89, 88. I need 1,000 people to show it's significant. If they go from 80 to 2, 78 to 4, you only need a couple dozen to show it's statistically significant. The math doesn't lie. So they don't have to be large studies to go do that. You just have to prove the P factor, and that's only the medical world. They're the only people that use statistics backwards. So everyone else in the world, statistics course real quick, would say there's a 95% probability of this happening with 90% confidence. That's what everyone uses. The medical world reverses it because they think they're special. They say 5% or less means there's less than a 5% chance that this happened due to chance alone and not the intervention. So the gold standard is 5%, P factor 0.05. If it's below that, then it's statistically significant. Our PTSD, last time I measured it, is 0.00000007. I stopped measuring it because now it's just bragging if I keep adding more zeros. So I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Right. But we need something similar for that device before we get it.
Well, let's make that happen. And then one last question, so with the creams that are coming out as well. So I'm assuming that works in conjunction with the Vibe. So you use the Vibe to transfer the frequencies into the cream and then you put it on?
Exactly. So it's going to be like the coils are right here. The cream's just going to sit like that.
Okay.
And you run the anti-aging protocol. It's already on there, which I don't remember how long it is. Probably 40 minutes or something. And we're saying anecdotally, because you can't measure energy in cream and water. Water will hold it for about 6 hours. So you can put it into water and drink it. The cream will hold it for about 30 days, but we're going to tell people recharge it once a week, whatever, because it's just sitting there at night. So yeah, that'll be kind of exciting. And like I said, I told the dermatologist who's doing the research for me, I said, I want to show the Cindy Crawford the liar. Okay. She's just doing before and after pictures and they're photoshopping and they're using lighting. I want to be able to prove it changed wrinkles. How do we do that? And he goes, you use a such and such. I go, what is that? He looked at me like, you dumb rocket scientist. It's a mini biopsy. I'm like, okay, what does it measure? He goes, collagen. And they said 12 other things. I know what collagen is, but I didn't know what the other 12 things were. I go, you sound like the right guy to go run this study. So he's the guy that's going to run it for us. And we're going to go actually physically measure, did it actually change?
Okay. So where can people find all of these products and how much can people expect to pay for these? And you mentioned like $300 or so, $350 before for the Vibe, right?
The website's Resona Health, RESONA. It's short for resonance, RESONA.health. There's no .com. The Vibe right now it retails for $399. We have it on sale for $299, so it's $300. We have a 2-pack, which is our biggest seller, for $498. And people get this all the time from the Facebook haters. Well, does it not work? Why would anyone need 2? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, the reason you need 2 is somebody's going to borrow it and you're not going to get it back. Okay. It might be your spouse, your kids, or your neighbor. You're going to loan to somebody. So the 2-pack's like one of our best sellers for that reason. People are going to borrow it. My wife even goes, when I started the company, well, it's not a consumable product. So how are you going to make money? We'll find out. And that's the answer. I have one guy that spot like 12 of them. He's an ex-race car driver. There's 4 concussions. He'd been on fire twice and he was taking 8 Ambien a night for 20 years. And now he's on no drugs at all. And so he has them strapped all over him. Like, Mark, his name's Mark. Mark, you don't need to do that. He's like, shut up. I'm going to do whatever I want to do because I feel good now. I'm like, okay. I can't stop people from doing it.
Okay. So Resona.health, and they can find everything there. And then the new products that are coming out will be added there soon as well. So maybe even by the time the show airs, the watch will be out for sure.
The watch and the cream should both be out today. So whatever. Yeah, they should be out in a month.
Fantastic. Well, this is so fascinating, Mark. And I just want to say thank you for the way that you've applied your gifts and talents to really transform and impact people's lives. And this can have such far-reaching, impact. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you for those kind words.
This has been really, really fun. Yeah, let's get this message out and get some more people to get involved. Like you said, there's so much more that even this could launch into. So thank you so much for being here. Well, I hope you were excited as I was after that conversation today with Mark Fox. I learned so much. I never knew that this technology existed. I knew about pulsed electromagnetic frequency, PEMF mats, but I didn't know about the Vibe. And so I'm really excited to try this out for myself, for my family members. There's also the Vega Vibe pendant, which stimulates your vagus nerve. And then the new watch that's coming out that actually tracks your blood glucose as well as your blood pressure, your HRV, and all of those things, which that's going to be really nice to see how we can track that without having to poke ourselves. And then this new device as well that's coming out that potentially make a significant difference with things like Alzheimer's. And so a lot on the horizon. It was fun to kind of imagine with him the future of our wearables and wearable technology, transmitting to the cloud how we're doing based on our biomarkers. And then the lights in our rooms or even our phones can send out these signals that could actually relieve those things in real time. And so I hope that you're excited about that. We talked about some of the things. There's 130 different protocols on the Vibe. The cream now that's coming out the day, you can actually transfer the energy into a cream. It lasts for about 30 days at a time. And that can actually treat our skin and wrinkles and things like that as well. So Mark's new book is called Go Find Joy. And you can find the Vibe and other products that even as this episode comes out will probably be available by then. That's resona.health, 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 like resonance. So check that out. Check out the Vibe and check out Mark's new book as well. And thanks so much for tuning in today. Until next time, we'll see you back here on Fully Live.
Thank you for joining us on Fully Alive, where we're exploring the concept of positive aging. If you're inspired by what you've heard, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Visit shellpoint.org/podcast for more episodes and show notes. Until next time, stay curious, stay healthy, and stay inspired.